The following program is closed caption for the hearing impaired. You're watching WLNE 6. Now, live from the newsroom. This is 6 News at 11 with Dave Lehman and Ann Conway.
Good evening. At the top of the news, Providence police say a man was shot about a half an hour ago on Rill Street at Valley. He was taken to Roger Williams Hospital, but officials won't comment on his condition at this time. Police are now investigating. And from Capitol Hill, while some congressional leaders wanted a harsher punishment, Representative Barney Frank today received only a reprimand. The House voted 408-18 to reprimand Frank on his actions in connection with a male prostitute. Members spent hours arguing whether that punishment should be harsher. Frank accepted the decision and apologized to his colleagues.
And that's all I wanted to say, to apologize and to explain to my colleagues that I have no quarrel with what the committee said. Yes, I set in a motion a chain of events which did not have the negative effect, but could have, and I should have known better. I now do, but it's a little too late.
In spite of his troubles, Frank is expected to win his re-election.
Rhode Island Democrats banded together today as a party bigwig came to Providence to cheer them on in an election year. Ron Brown, the national head of the Democratic Party, was in town in support of Senator Claiborne Pell's resolution for the savings and loan crisis, as well as for what he called a lack of environmental action. By the way, a caucus of the National Democratic Committee meets this weekend out on Nantucket. Ann?
Cleaning up of the Seekonk River is a task that has bounced from one agency to another with little action. Until last May, when Save the Bay took the first steps toward filing a suit to force a statewide cleanup. As Lisa Healy reports, tonight Save the Bay began gathering support for Save the Seekonk.
You'll see tampons and disposable douches and anything that gets flushed down a toilet, anything that you can imagine will wind up here.
But he has also done extensive.
It's a different story.
Several people who have been rowing for years, this year and recent years before, they've been getting a rash from the water.
But rowers and others who love this river say saving it is worth the time and money. Lisa Healy, 6 News, East Providence.
The cost of stopping the overflow is about $100 million. And in other news, a federal judge has ruled that the city of Fall River is liable for violations of the Clean Water Act. The Conservation Law Foundation filed suit against the city in 1987, saying combined sewer overflow is polluting Mount Hope Bay. Today, the judge ruled in favor of the CLF and set August 24th as the date for submitting a schedule for remedying the situation. The Conservation Law Foundation is seeking fines for the pollution. Dave?
Well, the search for that missing jogger has begun again. A state trooper says that he couldn't stop thinking about just where Erwin Weiner could be. Weiner, of course, is the Pennsylvania man who disappeared about 2.5 weeks ago in West Greenwich. The officer took a police dog to an unsearched area where he believes the dog picked up a human scent. Now, state police say Weiner may have been hit by a car and then dumped by a panicked driver. Investigators say that they'll start searching parts of West Greenwich and Coventry tomorrow. In the meantime, the father of a Woonsocket man convicted of rape says that he was fired last month after his son's trial began. A published report says that Clarence Scurry was fired after 32 years at Consolidated Auto Screen in Woonsocket. Now, according to him, his employers gave him time off to attend his son's rape trial last month. His son is Willie Scurry. Now, the senior Scurry says that when he returned to work after the trial, he was told he no longer had a job. Willie Scurry was found guilty of kidnapping and raping an East Side woman. Now, the plant officials tell a different story. What they say is that he simply was fired because he was absent from work.
Robert Kosilik is fighting to avoid going to trial. Kosilik is a former drug counselor accused of murdering his wife Cheryl and dumping her body at the Emerald Square Mall. He was later arrested in New York on drunk driving charges. Now today, Kosilik's lawyers started a new legal battle to prevent him from being extradited back to Massachusetts. Dave?
And Tim Kelley in again for Jack Yorsi, who's trying to enjoy this week, if you can do that.
Yeah.
A little bit better today. The temperature and the humidity off just a little bit, huh?
That's right. And we had some sunshine, too, during the middle of the day to get outside and take a peek at, because it's not to the south. You'll see those in a moment. Winds now east at 7 miles per hour, and everyone that lives in New England knows an easterly wind is a moist one. And sure enough, humidity 91% and dew point of 68. The pressure 30.25 inches, still rising a bit. Nevertheless, the clouds are here. Moderate pollen count with mold spores in the air. Thank you for that count from Roger Williams Hospital. We're going to start off with the Doppler weather radar this evening. We have some showers just about 60 to 100 miles off to the south and moving northward of southern New England. We're going to have those showers arriving here by tomorrow morning. We can see where the green areas are. That's where the rain is. Right now it's about it's not only, it's closer than 60 miles. As a matter of fact, this looks like 30 miles right here. It's going to be moving right up into Narragansett Bay in southern Rhode Island, southern Massachusetts. By morning, I expect it to be raining in these areas. Go back to the other picture now of the satellite loop, and we can see lots of colors blossoming right here off the mid-Atlantic states. Look at this moisture right here. Just go right up into New England. And some sunshine we had this afternoon was replaced by the moisture, and there's plenty more left to come up for most of tomorrow, and actually it may last right into Saturday. Plenty of clear skies with a big high-pressure system over the Ohio Valley. Unfortunately, that's just sitting there. Another high-pressure area just sitting right there, and in between we have the moist flow, and there's very little change in the next 24 to 48 hours. Here's the forecast map for tomorrow. Looks like pulses of rain are going to be moving right across southeastern New England. If you want to find some sunshine and you have the day or the weekend off, head west. Beautiful sunshine in Vermont, northern New Hampshire. Nice weekend for camping up north. If you're headed down to the tropics, watch out. Look at all this action across the tropical areas. We have tropical depression that was Tropical Storm Arthur, is now Tropical Storm Arthur again. It's regained its strength in the last few hours. Located at 16.9 north, 72.6 west. It's headed off to the west-northwest at this hour at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. We'll keep an eye on that. My forecast for us as far as the rest of tonight goes, we've got the clouds moving in. If it isn't overcast already, it will become overcast in your neighborhood. And some showers are going to arrive by morning with fog developing. For tomorrow, the clouds and the showers stay with us. Chance of some heavy downpours tomorrow off and on with temperatures only in the 70s. Marine forecast, we're going to have southeast winds tomorrow, 5 to 15 knots with light seas. Tomorrow night, showers continue. And on Saturday, Dave, it looks like, guess what? More showers, maybe a little sunshine on Saturday afternoon. A little bit later, we'll take a peek at the 5-day forecast, including the weekend.
I learned something. I'm going to be going to the right place, New Hampshire, this weekend.
Perfect.
I'll be
Go
all
north.
right.
North.
All right, Tim. Thank you. Ann?
Still to come on 6 News, financial woes bring a local hospital down, but some fear the move could actually be life-threatening. And later, we'll take a look at 48 hours in the Ocean State through the eyes of some out-of-towners.
Cumberland Farms is denying allegations tonight by some store employees. About 150 people are suing the convenience store chain. Now, they claim company officials intimidated them into saying that they stole money from the stores, and then they demanded they return the money. Company officials in Canton, Massachusetts, will not comment tonight on that lawsuit. Ann?
A bitter struggle has failed to save a local hospital from financial ruin. Administrators at Middleborough's St. Luke's Hospital have announced they will close their doors after tomorrow. Paul Moniz tells us the closing means a loss of jobs and could actually mean a loss of life.
Richard Bourne is leaving St. Luke's Hospital, not because his pneumonia is any better, but because St. Luke's is going out of business.
Well, I'm feeling very bad about it because it's only 2 blocks from home, and if I have a problem, I get here in a hurry.
Not anymore. Now he and the other remaining patients are being shipped to other hospitals to recover. That's because St. Luke's is in dire financial straits. Administrators say it's $2 million in the hole and has no other choice but to close.
We've known that it's in trouble for some time, and that was a part of it. You know, we've continued to try to find ways to address all of the issues, and unfortunately, we've not been successful.
Warren Tessler blames declining admissions for the closing. He says in June, only 20 of the hospital's 60 beds were filled. Now, 180 hospital workers are out of a job. What does this mean for you?
It means starting all over again at almost 58 years of age.
Does that scare you?
It's frightening.
But Dolores says what's even more frightening is the potential safety threat without St. Luke's. Although the emergency room will remain open until August 10th, it will no longer accept trauma patients. They'll have to be transported to hospitals in Taunton, Brockton, or Wareham, at least 20 minutes away. Paramedics say people could die. Are you concerned that you may lose some people because of this?
I'm very concerned. Now that we have to go so far for these people to get definitive care, I think it's going to be very bad for the patient.
Paul Moniz, 6 News, Middleborough.
Taking a brief look at some news from around the world tonight. In Cuba, residents celebrated the 37th anniversary of the revolution that brought Fidel Castro to power. The ongoing celebrations, which will include gymnastics performances and musical events, commemorate the beginning of the end for Fulgencio Batista. South Africa's president says he and Nelson Mandela will meet again. F.W. de Klerk met with the African National Congress leader today. Sources say de Klerk was trying to convince Mandela that communists within the ANC are planning a coup. Today's meeting comes a day after the arrest of a senior ANC official who is also a senior member of the Communist Party. In this country, President Bush is calling today another Independence Day. Bush today signed into law landmark legislation banning discrimination against the disabled. The bill includes sanctions for employers who discriminate in hiring. Dave?
And there were 2 major developments today that may affect you, your TV set, and your TV cable company. The Federal Communications Commission today proposed to Congress that Congress open up competition in the cable TV industry, an industry that now pretty much operates as a monopoly. The proposal now comes after years of customer complaints over high cable fees and poor service. While we're at it, in Congress today, a House committee voted in favor of legislation that would regulate cable TV, setting limits on fees, and giving FCC the power to go after bad cable companies. All this is of interest to most of us, since 60% of the nation's households now have cable. And closer to home, seeing the world through a camera lens, our world. That's what 26 photographers did in May while traveling through the nooks and crannies of Rhode Island. Well, the formal reception for their work was held tonight at Trinity Rep.
Maybe it's just the traveling that got them in a bad situation from Milwaukee to Detroit, the Red Sox.
Maybe it's the food, maybe it's the air. I mean,
any excuse.
That's right. I don't know what the deal is, but how much longer can the Red Sox play poorly and still be within striking distance of first place? Who knows? But tonight, the Sox road funk continued in Detroit. The Tigers wasted little time getting on the Sox. First inning, red-hot Cecil Fielder stepped to the plate against Wes Gardner. He dumps a single into center field, knocking in his 83rd run of the season. Gardner later left the game with a stiff elbow. Detroit went up 4-1 when the Sox showed some signs of life in the 6th. Mike Greenwell takes Dan Petrie way out. The solo homer was Greenwell's 5th of the year. Later in the inning, Tony Pena at the plate, and he spanks a base hit into right field. Tom Bernansky scores, and the Sox were back to within 1 at 4-3. But in the bottom of the 6th, Lloyd Mosby unplugs the lamp, taking Dennis Lamp off the facing of the upper deck. The wheels came off the wagon in the 7th. Alan Trammell bloops one to left. Tim Nearing goes out. Mike Greenwell comes in. Nobody wants the ball. It drops in safely. A run scores, 6-3 Detroit. Then Larry Sheets strokes one into right field. Tom Bernansky plays kickball with it. 2-run score in the play. Detroit goes on to win 10-4, the final over the Red Sox. Yikes. Sox 1 game back now in 2nd place as Toronto beat Kansas City tonight 7-5. Seattle 6-4 winners over Minnesota. And California beat Oakland in 11 innings. National Leagues. The Cardinals and Mets split a doubleheader. Montreal goes 10 to beat Chicago. Philadelphia all over Pittsburgh tonight. Houston and San Diego scoreless. Everybody else out on the West Coast. 7 home runs in the Paw Sox game with Syracuse tonight. Syracuse wins. Paw Sox had 4 homers. Mo Vaughn, Rick Lancelotti, Scott Wade, and Phil Plantier, all with dingers for the locals. Former Paw Sox manager Ed Noddle is back in town this week. He's hosting a major fundraiser for child abuse prevention on Sunday. The event will take place at the Marriott Sunday night starting at 7. Noddle spent his time since being fired working on the fundraiser. The 50-year-old didn't let his demise in Pawtucket alter his lifelong dream.
I still plan on managing Fenway Park. I just got to figure out how to keep doing it, or how to keep trying to do it. I'm not sure if it's as important whether I do it or not, as long as I get an opportunity to keep trying. That game plan persists. when you get a little older, it's a little tougher to keep plodding. But I plan on being in ball, and I plan on managing someday.
And don't count against them. Add Delta Airlines to the ranks of IBM, Toyota, and Anheuser-Busch as businesses withdrawing sponsorship from the 1990 PGA Championship. The companies are protesting Shoal Creek, the host club in Birmingham, Alabama, which has no black members. The 1984 PGA Championship was played at Shoal Creek. The winner of that tournament that year, Lee Trevino, is in Newport this week for the Newport Cup. He thinks the controversy is overblown.
That don't have black members in around the country. It's just it's unbelievable of what's happened and how it's got blown out of proportion. And whether it's good or bad, I have no idea. But I'm going to play. I'm a player. I'm not a politician.
I'm surprised that ABC haven't thought about the possibility of maybe not televising it. It's really disturbing to see something of this happen. And especially at this later date, But I mean, these things happen, and they're going to continue to happen until such time as we get all of these things squared away.
And we'll no doubt be hearing more about this as the weeks progress to the PGA Championship.
Sounds like it, Gene. Thanks.
Sure.